I'm the Reverend Canon Lazarus Muyambi, Anglican Church. Here is a story about Catherine Mutani, which happened when I was in Mwangi as a school teacher. It was at night when I heard a voice calling Lazarus, Lazarus. Go down to Mr. Mutani's house. There you will find a sick child. You have carried that back and going to the hospital for treatment. So I knew the family was the husband was a fellow teacher, and there were church members who were always going to church every Sunday. What happened is, the school where we used to teach was non-denominational, but it was in Mwangi Colliery Center where coal is mined, and it was a new school, new gathering of a church people. However, when I was in bed, I heard a voice. While I was in bed at 3 a.m. I went correctly when I was told, go to Mutani's house. There's a sick child there. Go and pray for her. This girl was called Catherine Mutani, nearly 7 years old. However, I went there. I never even told my wife, Neddy. We got there, passed through the garden, school garden. For I am interested in gardening and horticulture. We got there at Mutani's place. The door was shut, people were in bed. I knocked at the door, and the people came out to fetch me. Wisely, she opened the door. That's Mrs. Mutani. Mr. Mutani was also a school teacher. We were very active in sports and the music. Right, we got into the house in the sitting room, and I began to say, there's a girl here who is sick and always carried to the hospital. Almost every morning by her mother. Oh, Mr. Mutani said, yes, she's here. So I said, Ma'am Mutani, put a bed here. A bed of reeds. And then she went further to collect the baby, the girl. She was no longer a baby, a girl. And they brought her to the sitting room and put her on a mat. Well, I said, Ma'am Tani sing a hymn, she's good. She sang a hymn. Imi munoda kurakwa. And she sang, and we assisted her. And the girl, Catherine, was brought to the mat on the floor. Right. The voice which I was hearing, it was the voice of an angel, not of anything. Angel? And laid on the floor. And I laid hands on the feet through the knees up to the chest, to the head. Right. This was all right. And I said, Ma'am Tani, sing a hymn. She sang, He who seek for sure relief. She was a good singer. We helped her to sing the hymn. The hymn. And afterwards, we definitely stopped and said, right, we will see you tomorrow. And we went back home. And I slept, completing a night, a morning. We came back in the morning to the school garden, and I saw Mrs. Mtani rushing from home, her house, to school garden. We met there and she knelt down, which is good manners, you see. She knelt down. I said, Yes, my Mtani, what do you want? Because it's surprising. My daughter, Catherine, is walking, playing around, jump around the yard. Ha! I smiled. So I said, right, I was fast in running. I went faster to her home, found the girl playing, welcoming me, greeting me. And good news. And so Catherine started coming to school on her own. It shocked the mother and shocked me and the father, her father. That was the first story which happened there. Of course, I was a catechist of the school, of the church, Anglican church. Later on, I'll tell you what I did. Thank you. And later on, I was transferred to Wanki, this time as a priest. It was wonderful days. I was a younger priest and active, with the 3 children all. My wife Neddy. Well, Fara ino wano fara. Namata ino wano namata. First, God showed me in a dream. He showed me that he was calling me, and so through the Bishop of Matabeleland. So I went to St. John's Seminary, completed. Came back. Later on, Catherine went to school. I also went to school, St. John's Seminary, to be trained as a priest. 4 years net. Let this be understood by you. The person who would appoint considerably was a panel of priests and bishops in Bulwer. I wrote a letter to the bishop to tell him of this illustration or story. And the bishop said, no, I'm not surprised. It's all right. You'll be going to St. John's Seminary of Saga, Zambia. That time it was still not on Rhodesia. However, the bishop said, fine. Thank you very much for writing me about your dream, which is quite a holy dream. I went to St. John's Seminary to train 4 years. Came back, ordained a priest, and I worked in the Diocese of Matabele and studied at St. Patrick. And so, when I went to England, I saw Bishop Canon Lazarus in England. That is a great thing to see people whom you saw and whom you worked with. This bishop supported me very much on the line of being a priest. So Bishop Canon Lazarus, later on with Bishop Makawudu. This is some work I've done for people and for God. Later on, I began to be very interested in healing the sick. And it became part of my job to heal the sick and nurse the sick. Starting from St. Patrick's Mission, Gweru, to Wanki. I was doing well for people, and people were doing well for me. Dealing with act of mercy and the act of love. what did I do? I carry on with the work of healing the sick. I used to care very much for nanny, for children who had no parents. When I was in Wanki, I had to care for, mostly for the sick people. And helping the unbaptized to be baptized. This was work for bringing people to God. Later on, I was transferred to Gokwe, where church was failing. It was a new district. And I did some work on a new ground, registered it, and applied to start sisters of the church, and to be permitted to start orphanage. And traveling to several places in Gokwe to bring people to God. And many sick people used to come. Most of them were, possessed by evil angels. And the people were helped a lot. And I moved to Gweru, Bulawayo, St. Columba's Mission. I moved to Ascension Hillside, which was a European church. I did some wonderful work there of dismissing the unseen forces who were possessing people. It gave many people a surprise. I don't want to go into details, but I did much work at Ascension Hillside, and I did some work at St. Columba's. I did some work at Wanki. I did some work in Weather District. I did some work in London at the Methodist Church. I did some work in several churches within England. I did some work in Gweru. I did some work in Mtari under the leadership of Bishop Murnagomo. I did some work in St. Augustine's Penalonga. And other small churches on healing work. I became well known and popular in serving the sick people who were possessed by evil angels, fallen angels. Sometimes I was accompanied by some sisters, e.g. Sister Gladys. They helped me a lot. We did some work at the Shawani, Chifu. And many other places. There are some things which I could speak about, which you might not understand, how evil angels work with witches. And they disturb people at bed, bringing in some queer dreams, satanic dreams. One time I noticed when I was at Rhonda Mashan, a woman said, Father Muyambi, can you help us? I have my husband here. When it is night, I ride there and go around the villages. Ah, I said, man, are you here? She goes, yes, I am here. Is that true? She goes, yes, you can see me in my hands. She rides me at night. And that was near a mountain called Gandawaroi. I went to a school sent by the council of Gokwe and met girls under training of which being to be witches. I brought them, 8 of them, to the St. Agnes mission, living in Mateta. So many girls and a few men were healed through laying on of hands, confession first. And I am still on the way with the work. People come to be healed, but first of all, they make confession. After confession, and then I lay hands on each one of them. There can be some results of possession, or there may be not. But I saw a few people doing it. I did it for no pain, for no cent or charge, nothing. But make your confession and lay hands on the sick, and the results will come. So let me say, these few words to you. I will bring some more later on in life. That it's good not to ask money from a sick people, but the gift is from God, and they give to the free healing to the people who are being tortured or troubled by evil angels. These angels are so many, and they enter a lot of women to be witches, and the men to be Nganga, with the Ngangaism. That's witchcraft. And they must be driven out of the possessed people by means of prayer and hymns and reading the Bible. I'm still on. If anyone comes to me, I act. and the person goes back home well. Yeah, I think I better end here. Thank you.